campus of Washington and Lee University. This is a Channel 18 Rockbridge News Update.
Welcome back to the Rockbridge Report's live election night coverage. I'm Paige Williams.
And I'm James Laverty. We now have more precincts reporting for our statewide elections. President Donald Trump is distancing himself from defeated Virginia Republican gubernatorial candidate Ed Gillespie. Trump is addressing the disappointing result in a race seen as an early referendum on his political clout. He writes on Twitter that Gillespie, quote, worked hard but did not embrace me or what I stand for. Gillespie largely tried to maintain his distance from Trump on the campaign trail. And now we're going to take a look at some of these statewide numbers. And first, we'll look at the Virginia governor results. As we see, Ralph Northam took this race home pretty handily with 1.3 million votes to Ed Gillespie's 1.1 million. And with 96% of precincts reporting on the statewide level, it's looking like he's going to take this race home by about 8 or 9 percentage points. And in Lexington, with all of the votes in, Northam will take this race by about 66%, as expected in the rather liberal Lexington. And now if we go to the Rockbridge County results, we'll see the flipping results here with 61% of the vote going to the Republican Ed Gillespie and Northam taking home 37% of the vote in Rockbridge. And in Buena Vista, we'll see a very similar trend with 65% of the vote going to Ed Gillespie and 31% going to the Democrat Ralph Northam.
And looking at Virginia Lieutenant Governor, our statewide results are almost in. 96% of precincts are reporting, so we're almost there. Democrat Justin Fairfax is up 52% with 1.2 million votes. And if we take a look at Lexington's results, he also won Lexington with 63.5%. That is Justin Fairfax. And in Rockbridge County, we see the opposite. We see almost 65% of the votes going for Republican Jill Vogel. And those are all of the precincts reporting. And in Buena Vista, we have a 70% vote for Republican Jill Vogel. We have reporter Keenan Willard still live at the Democratic headquarters on Jefferson Street. He's there talking with people who are celebrating the Democratic wins for governor and lieutenant governor. Keenan?
Thank you, Keenan. And for our last statewide race, we will take a look at some of the numbers for Attorney General. And Mark Herring, the incumbent Democrat, will take a victory home in the state of Virginia with 52% of the vote. And with 97% of the precincts reporting, he will win by about 53 to 45%. In Lexington, we see him taking home a strong victory to John Adams, the VMI graduate, of 65% of the votes to Adams' 35%. In Rockbridge County, we will see Adams taking home 41% of the vote to Herring's 36%. And lastly, in Buena Vista, we will see Adams taking home 66% of the vote to Herring's 33%. And that's it for the statewide elections tonight. We'll talk with Washington and Lee students Morgan Maloney about student involvement in the Virginia election right after this short break.
When it comes to saving money,
What?
parents, don't act like a baby.
Oh, it's like they're having their own little meeting. This is so humiliating.
Be the boss
I'm the boss.
What the?
Power nap. You were saying.
and make a budget.
Let's get to work.
Need a little help?
Stacy, read back the notes.
I can't read. What's it say?
Create a personalized savings plan and get other tools and tips
We can share.
You obviously didn't go to business school.
at feedthepig.org.
Oh, emojis. I thought the conversation just got dumber.
Ugh, internet trolls, just ignore them.
I like you just the way you are.
I believe in you.
She's a hugger. Give her a squeeze.
Help up the hand.
Ah, there you go. Thanks, mate.
You're killing it, Zane.
Listen, I realize that I'm not perfect, but it all really started to change because you judge me for having a problem. No one is going to know that I need help. I need help. I know that no one is going to judge me for having a problem. I realize that I'm not perfect, but it all really started to change because you listen.
It's me, Artie. Come see what I collected from the Creative Galaxy in my idea box.
Transform your world.
Will you help me make art?
Before you throw it away,
Hey, I have an idea.
think outside the box.
Go be amazing!
Give your cardboard box another life. Recycle.
Welcome back to the Rockbridge Report's live election night coverage. We have with us Washington and Lee student Morgan Maloney. Morgan, thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
So tell us a little bit about yourself and how you're involved with politics here on campus.
Yeah, so I am the president of the Washington and Lee College Democrats, and I'm involved with the local Democratic Party with volunteering.
So how involved do you think W&L students were in this election?
I think it was really exciting to see students be really engaged with the election on both sides of the aisle. Students were definitely talking about it with one another. Students voted and some students volunteered.
So did you vote? And what were the polls like when you were there?
So I did vote. I actually voted absentee from my home in Northern Virginia. So unfortunately I didn't get to go see the polls here in Lexington, but I did vote.
And so do you think W&L students are aware of local politics, and should they be?
I think that really depends on how you define local politics. I think a lot of students are really involved with wherever they call home for their politics. For some students that's here in Lexington, for some students that's their home where they went to high school and where their parents still live. I think it is amazing though when you talk to W&L students just how much they care about elections and politics in general.
So how do you think our campus could promote student voter turnout?
Yeah, so I think the administration does do a good job with what they can with that. Of course, I would always love for us to be a little bit more aggressive in the way that we are making sure that every student on campus is registered to vote, again, either here or wherever they choose to call home. And to really be encouraging that on all levels, both on the student level, but also with professors, to encourage students to vote.
Well, thank you so much. For now, we're going to turn to the district-wide results for the Virginia House of Delegates, District 24. And we have Republican Ben Cline, the incumbent, as the victory holder in this election with 71.5% of the vote, and independent John Winfrey with only 28%. In Lexington, John Winfrey really took the lead here with 60% of the vote, while in other places, Rockbridge County, he did not take such a lead. He only got 32% of the votes, with Republican Ben Cline with about 60. In BV, same deal. John Winfrey, not as many votes, with Ben Cline, 76%. Reporter Bren McCarthy talked to Republican candidate Ben Cline about how he will be able to work with the Democratic governor.
I'm here in Salernos with Ben Cline, who has just found out that he has won the House of Delegates seat for the 24th District for the 8th time. Mr. Cline, how are you feeling tonight?
Well, it's an exciting evening. We are all celebrating our win for the 24th House District, but it's a mixed bag tonight because they've called the governor's race for Ralph Northam. Means hopefully we'll try and get along, but his views on the economy and on priorities are very different from the majority in the House. So we'll have our work cut out for us as we move forward.
What are your main goals for the upcoming term?
Well, I was hoping to work with a Republican governor on tax reform and on improving our economic situation through some improvements to infrastructure and some other legislation. But for now, we're going to have to see where we can work with a Democratic governor who's really in the same mold as our current governor. We've seen a slip in our economic ratings, and that's unfortunate. We need to stop that slide. So Northam needs to think differently than McAuliffe and behave a little differently for us to be able to agree on things, to get things back on track.
Great. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with your constituents tonight?
No, I'm just very grateful for the confidence they've shown in me, and I'm very humbled by the victory and look forward to representing them for another 2 years.
Great. Thanks so much, and congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bren. We will now take a look at some of the clerk of court result numbers. And for the clerk of court, Michelle Moore Trout will take home a victory with 48% of the vote, and that will be to David Whitesell's 25%, and Dennis Ayers also received 20%, and that, again, is with all precincts reporting. In Lexington, Ayers actually won 47% of the vote to Trout's 33%, and Whitesell's 18%. And in Rockbridge County, Michelle Moore Trout really gained a lot of her lead here with 51% of the vote, with Whitesell getting 27% and Ayers at 21%. And in Buena Vista,
for Lexington Commissioner of Revenue, Karen Telling-Roundy, the incumbent, has taken a huge victory here with 97% of the vote. The write-in, unfortunately, only got 41 votes. For Rockbridge Board of Supervisors, Daniel Lyons has won with 47.2% of the vote, while Stephen Hart only got about 20%. For Rockbridge Board of Supervisors, Walker's Creek District, Jay Lewis has won 54.5% of the vote, with Richard Kopp with only 45%.
And for the Carers Creek District, Rockbridge School Board, Heather Hostetter takes out the incumbent Lori Strong with 54% of the vote to Strong's 44%. And in the South River District, Corey Bergstresser will also take out the incumbent Kevin Brooks with 56% of the vote.
We'll be back with more local election results right after this break.
I adopted Bento in 2010 from a shelter. As it turns out, we have very similar personalities. And this cat makes me make art because he's always motivating me to take pictures of him, to draw pictures of him. He just is motivating artistically. It's just that simple. Well, he's my best friend, but a lot of people know him as Keyboard Cat.
Okay, so what would you bring to my company?
What do you need?
I need problem-solving skills.
I got through high school without a car, a phone, or a computer.
No college degree, though.
Not yet, but life's taught me a lot, and I'm ready for more.
Well, you're not the typical kind of candidate that I hire. But you are exactly what I'm looking for.
Your company could be missing out on the candidates it needs most. Learn how to find a great pool of untapped talent at gradsoflife.org.
I'll be right back. Hi! You think you're probably sober?
Yeah.
But you're thinking about taking the back roads home, just in case. If you're probably sober, then why would you do that? Good choice.
Probably okay isn't okay. If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend.
That's a full glass of wine. I'll be chatting you later.
Open road, here comes the Heffley family.
Whether it's a short trip or a long haul.
Estimated time, 47 hours.
They will beg.
You're hungry? I'm happy to provide.
They will plead.
Deep fried butter on a stick.
But whatever you do, don't wimp out.
Now you're talking.
Make them buckle up.
He can't hurt.
Remember, safety first. Cheese curls second.
Are you orange?
Welcome back to the Rockbridge Report's live election night coverage. We're first going to look at Buena Vista Mayor, and William Fitzgerald takes home that victory with 61% of the votes. And Buena Vista City Council looks like all of the candidates have won, including, there are 3 that have won. For Buena Vista School Board, John Rice and Lisa Carr have both won that race. And Buena Vista School Board, John Roberts and Roy Mueller have also won.
And for Glasgow Mayor, the incumbent Ruby Ogden Clark will again serve another term as mayor, with taking home 51% of the vote to Linda Norris Miller's 44%, and third-party candidate Ray Bergstresser's 3% of the vote. And for Town Council, where 3 elected members were voted in today, Monica Dock and Andrea Bradley were the two main candidates, with 1 write-in candidate also gaining a seat. And for the Buena Vista Commissioner of Revenue, Maravita Flint was the incumbent, and she ran unopposed today.
For Lexington Treasurer, we have Patricia Delaney, our incumbent, with 98% of the vote. An anonymous write-in has received 2% of the vote. For Buena Vista Sheriff, Randy Hamilton, also incumbent, has received 97.8% of the vote.
And in the race for Treasurer for Buena Vista, Mary Lee Huffman was the only candidate, and she received 99.2% of the vote, with all precincts reporting. And that's it for election night coverage. We will be back on Thursday at 4:30 p.m. for our regular broadcast.
In the meantime, you can visit rockbridgereport.wlu.edu for complete election results. See you next time.